All right. Welcome to the Own It Show. We're so grateful to be here. We have special guests always for you guys because we are here to inspire, educate, and serve and help uncommon knowledge become common. And I'm so grateful to have Mindi Huebner here because she's an intuitive mindset mastery coach, NLP practitioner, and a certified health, life, and success coach and clinical hypnotherapist. And I just finished my NLP designation, and I'm so grateful to bring this knowledge to you because this is uncommon knowledge. It's not taught in schools. It is what the elites of the elites use. They understand human conditioning, performance, and behavior, and how to be the authors of their own life and work with the universal laws and their actual own neural programming. This is going to be groundbreaking information. So if you don't know what NLP is, hold on to your socks because we have a great show for you today. So I will hand it over. Thank you so much for being here. Please share with everybody more about yourself.
Thank you so much, Heather. And thank you to your community for joining us today. I am Mindi Huebner. As you said, I coach mostly women to reveal and release the limiting beliefs that keep them overwhelmed, stuck in old paradigms, overthinking, and really in too much self-doubt. Because a little bit's pretty healthy, right? Like, oh, am I doing the right thing here? But too much paralyzes us so that they can truly create a soul-aligned business and an extraordinary life, what we all deserve. And this is something that completely fires me up. And one of the biggest ways I do that is by rewiring the brain and helping my clients and anyone who will listen to me about rewiring the brain, just really digging in, going deep, talking about how your brain deletes, distorts, and generalizes based on what you believe. So let's start believing some really badass stuff about yourself.
I love that.
So it will start filtering in a way, right, that keeps you empowered. And also that what we think habitually over and over again becomes I am. It becomes your I am statement. And your system is so amazing, your brain, your body, your mind, that it will then create habits for you to prove that to yourself over and over again. And so we all have been there in a spot of where it's a habit for us to say something kind of disempowering. And then we look around our lives and there's all these habits that prove it to ourselves about maybe not being a great time manager or, oh, that's just the way Heather is. She gets real loud all the time, that kind of thing.
I do, but it's fine.
But it's a good thing. It's a good thing, right?
It's a great thing.
So really we get to, my hope today is that you are inspired and lit up about tongue-in-cheek using your brain for good and not evil, right? Like using it to move you forward, stepping into the container and your limitlessness of everything that you want, as opposed to letting it keep you where you no longer want to be, but aren't sure how to get out of there.
I love that. And we're just not given the roadmap. We're not given the tools, resources, or roadmap of how to. And so this is the groundbreaking work of actually how to create your life by design, how to rewrite the programs. So for those who are listening, I know we're in season 2 here on the Own It Show, and we've talked a lot about the unconscious mind, but just to recap and rewind for you, you are operating off of your programming and your conditioning in your unconscious mind, which is in your neural network, which spans your entire body and is acting like a point of attraction, is creating your future experiences, and everything in your life has to go through these mental filters. You have a filter about relationships, about love, about money, all the things. And until we change these, we can't have new results. And so in Own It Empire, the whole thing is we work with the law of cause and effect, the law of all laws. And what we put into our unconscious mind, us, is the cause, and a result is the effect. And so here we own it, right? We take full responsibility. We are victors and not victims. And so we truly own it, and we own our story. And the tips and tricks that Mindi has for you today is going to help you do that and actually start to understand, like, what is this neural networking that is running my life, that I'm on autopilot, that is literally, creating the results. And then I wonder why I get the same thing over and over again. But before we dive into your amazing tips and tricks, we also are here to inspire conscious entrepreneurs to make a difference in the world and take that entrepreneur journey. So if you don't mind sharing, a little bit about yourself and entrepreneur journey to inspire others to own it in theirs, that would be great.
Absolutely. I have been a coach, teacher, mentor my entire adult life, and I recently turned 50. So I've been doing it a long time. And I was in direct sales for about 20 years, coaching, mentoring, teaching, even though we didn't call it that, right? We just called it training, and led a large team, trained nationally for my company. So my entrepreneur journey started a long time ago when I was very young, and it has morphed into just more finite, more niched focus and understanding people and the way that we work so much better. And so went from direct sales to that company closing, opened a company, had great success, moved on, then decided to go into the one-on-one world of coaching, where I felt like this is where I really want to start helping people make shifts so that they can go out, that beautiful ripple effect, right? Exactly like what you do. Because when we're reaching and teaching, then they're doing that as well, and just changing everything. I mean, small shifts create massive change for them.
I love that. And guys, I don't know if you heard that. This wasn't her first business. So I just want to, this is like a reoccurring theme here on the show, that every successful entrepreneur that we've had on, this wasn't their first idea. This wasn't their first time to the rodeo. It wasn't their first business, or the first, it might have been, same in the realm of coaching, but the model is different. Things are different. So I love in NLP, they say there is no failure, there's only feedback. And we know our body works in feedback mechanisms. And as my coach, Kelly Roach, says, you only find out the ways that it doesn't work, right? You have to launch the plane in the air and build it in the air and just find out the ways it works and doesn't work. And only by doing will we find out how to improve and get to that next level. So I love that you have been a serial entrepreneur and have found the purpose that lights your soul on fire. And you went out and gathered the knowledge to actually have people own their lives. So it's great for us because we can own our lives with that knowledge, but it's way much better. And I believe full ascension is when we turn around and we share that knowledge with others and we bring them up with us. So I'm so grateful that you're doing that. And let's dive into some NLP tips and tricks for the folks today. And I know she's already dropped some good nuggets, so hang on to your socks.
So remembering that you think a thought over and over again, it becomes an I am statement, and then you create habits in that you get to always be curious. There's no room for shame or judgment when you're owning it, right? Not guilt, not shame, not judgment, not coulda, woulda, shouldas. Like none of that sort of disempowering language, none of that disempowering language. You got to get curious. What makes me keep this habit that is not serving me? What could I do differently? How can I be different in this? What does it take to change? So what I love are like the keys to creating anything that you want in your life. The first thing is knowing what you want. And I don't just mean like, yeah, I know I want to own a house one day. Yeah, I know know what you want through like you're diving into a swimming pool of this outcome. And we're going to get to it's greater than the outcome, but this is a great milestone for you. So know what you want so deeply, so clearly. You can taste it, you can feel it, you can smell it, you can hear it. Like you're embodying it. So know what you want. Take action. Take action towards what you want. And for some people listening, this is simple. It's simple. It's not always easy. You are in the habit of not really claiming what you want, not really taking the action to move towards it, right? Because our limiting beliefs keep us stuck. They keep us overwhelmed. They keep us limited. And so know what you want, take action. Some of that action could be to stop doing some things. Some of the action could be inaction, right? It could be changing lanes, some of that action. Some of that action is going to be mental. Some of it's going to be on the physical plane, like actually getting out there, pounding the pavement, emailing people, like showing up on, live things, taking action, asking for the client, asking, for the referral. On the spiritual plane, like there are so many places where you'll get to take action. One of the ways that you get to take action mentally is with mental rehearsal. And so this is deeper than a visualization, because I love visualization. But like I said, when you know what you want, so you're not just going to visualize, I'm not just going to visualize us having this conversation and it being just the most watched episode that you've ever had, like people just raving about it, you know. We're limitless. So I'm always going, you know,
Absolutely.
way out there. I am not only like seeing that, I'm hearing it. I'm tasting the water that I'll be drinking in it. I'm feeling the chair beneath me and the air. And I am recreating the whole thing, start to finish, in my head. And I do it a lot, so it goes real quick for me. But when you first start practicing, it might take a little bit longer, with the outcome in mind. Like, what is my well-formed outcome? I already told you guys, most watched episode ever, right? I am getting from start to finish in my head, boom, like creating all of it. Why? First of all, the brain doesn't know the difference between real and imagined.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was nervous, I'm not. I'm like dumb confident. Like I'm like, oh, it's going to be amazing. Like nothing, it doesn't matter what happens, it's going to be amazing, right? So, and if I was nervous, this would take some of the stress out of it for me. When I have rehearsed it and then I come to show up in it, the brain's like, oh, well, we've been here. You've got this. So you're building that self-confident muscle for you. So using mental rehearsal is one of the ways that you can take action. It's not the only way. We need to take action on a physical plane, but it is definitely a way to create the container for success. Know what you want, take action, check the data. Okay, we took all this action. What's the data telling us? What's the feedback, right? What are the results that we're getting? And so if the results are not what we want, there's no failure. It's only feedback. And also, I like to say fuel for the future, right? This teaches me what I don't want, right? Contrast is good.
Thank you for the contrast. I'm now aware that I prefer over here.
Exactly. Now, here's the big one, my friends. This is the one where this is where you ascend, being willing to change. So you can know what you want, you can take action, you can check the data all day long. The next one is vital, being willing to change a belief, willing to change an action or an inaction, willing to change a relationship. This is where all of a sudden your identity comes to the forefront, even though secretly we were building your identity the whole time. The reason that I say know what you want and have this beautiful outcome, right? Outcome is what actually happens from the action that you take, right? There's a goal. A goal is an aim. It's a purpose. It's a direction. Goals are great, right? We set them and don't get them. And when we have an outcome, it's even better. Like we're tangibly saying, this is exactly what I want to happen. I want to see it. I want to hear it. I want to taste it. The beauty, the way that we just use that as a milestone and keep going is becoming the human who. So if our goal is having the most watched episode, if that's my outcome, having the most watched episode, and I'm mentally rehearsing this and I'm taking the action, I'm checking the data, what I'm actually doing for myself is creating the identity of the guest who does that for all her hosts, gives them the most watched episode, right? Like this is the difference. We don't want to read one book. We want to be a reader. We want to create the process of hitting those milestones over and over again so that they become automated for us. This is what I like to say NLP. There's a million definitions, depends who you ask. It is the study of excellence for me and patterns of success. And
love it. Very well said.
Thank you. Thank you. This is how we get to show up differently. Know what you want, take action, check the data, be willing to change. Huge steps for us. And those I would love to share just like 3 that go with that. Are we good?
Keep going.
Yeah. Okay.
You've got
Awesome.
time. Enjoy.
Okay. Good.
I just wanted to add. So we here in the community, we call it our big, hairy, audacious goal. So it's like our life purpose. And when you were saying we need to make it measurable, right? We like to say, for most people, they're casual. I'd really like this. You're like, well, if you actually called and put that into an order to a store, would they know exactly what you wanted? Or would they say, call back when you actually know what you want? Because we can't deliver that.
That's awesome.
Right? So it's that clarity. So we say clarity breeds quantum leaps. Because only when you know exactly what you want, will you be able to get it. And will the plan fall into place? So I think, and I know, I've been doing this for a long time, most people get stopped at the decision of I'm making this happen and the clarity of what's going to happen. And then in that future visualization or future memory, however you want to call it, as Neville Goddard says, like you need to enter, Thomas Farrar says, enter the spirit of it. But Neville Goddard talks about how you need to see it through your eyes. And we need to include our clairvoyant senses. So here in our physical realm, we see, hear, smell, taste, touch. But also in our metaphysical realm, we can. And we need to strengthen those senses. And that's exactly what you're talking about. So I always have challenged people to pick that vision first and then put yourself in it and make it a future memory and add in the psychic senses. What does the water taste like? What do you hear? Do you feel the sand between your toes? And really adding that clarity. And I studied sports psychology. So fantastic. We even had, did the neuron test in the brain and I'd see how people could keep their mind quiet or not quiet or focused. And you wouldn't believe how much harder this is than people think it is. And so practice. And every time you go back to that visualization, which we encourage you it to be the last thing on your forefront of your mind before you go to bed, so that it's more easily accessing the subconscious mind. And when you wake up, because that's when our theta brainwaves are most active. And that's how we can help rewrite that neural programming. And so important for us to start and finish the day with that. And every time you go into it, you can add more detail and using those psychic senses until it literally is your realm of reality. And that is, dreaming big, playing big, but working in the physical and metaphysical, because we can take the actions here and go and work hard, but only 4.4% of the universe is this physical world we live in. So we need to start working with the metaphysical, and that's that visualization, that's that meditation, and it's through practice. So if the first time you sit down, you're like, well, I don't know, right? That's okay. We go back again and again and again. So I just want to bring everyone back. Like if it's your first time coming to make a future vision, you go back to it over and over again and add those details. No more being casual. We don't get shit done this way. Nothing happens being casual. I'll be there between 5 and 6. Oh, really? It's giving me an hour window. Are you Rogers? Like, where is the integrity? I don't understand how people live so casual and they live a partial life because they never decided or committed to being the author of their life when we came here to be creator gods. So unless you're designing and creating your God or life like a God, you are living by default. And so that needs to stop. We actually need to design and create. And like you said, we're limitless. But so many of us just don't know what we don't know.
Exactly. So the next key to that is following up perfectly with what you said. The next 3 keys is excellence. And not to be confused with perfection. This is a myth. Perfection is a myth. Like,
gosh, darn, that perfection stuck me in procrastination for so long.
Exactly. How I like to define excellence is not only like my best, like showing up, it is also how can there be more joy and ease in this? It doesn't have to be all about hard work. What can I do to find more ease in this? What can I do to bring more joy into this? This is my life's purpose. This is my big, hairy, audacious goal, right? So I want it to feel good.
Amen.
I'm not saying there's not gonna be some hard work, right? Not gonna be some decision making.
Change is uncomfortable. It just is. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. So if you want to live average and mundane, stay comfortable. But if you would like anything different, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
So you're showing up in excellence, right? How can I find more joy and more ease in this? How can I be at my best? Because think about it. When we have joy and ease, aren't we at our best? Like, we're like, man, take a big deep breath. Like, this feels really good. The last 2 are really tied together in their gratitude and integrity, another word that you said. So gratitude is foundational. I mean, you can Google all the research about what happens for people who have a gratitude practice, the success that they experience, just like so much more than people who don't practice this. And literally changes your brain as
It
well.
changes your neural network. It
Yes,
absolutely does. We're stuck in
exactly.
the limbic system in fight or flight and looking at all the ways things could go wrong. And for 2 years, we've really been conditioned to live in fight or flight and look at all the ways that things could go wrong. Here in our community, we have a saying, what's the best that can happen? And so we
Love that.
cue our consciousness to focus on what is the best that could happen. And then our reticular activation system actually goes, oh, hey, look at all these great
best
things.
that could happen. It lets, again, deletes, distorts, and generalizes based on your beliefs, right? And what you're allowing yourself even to see. So now that it's in our consciousness, gratitude and integrity. I look at integrity. This is about integrity to self, like you said. This is about living a casual life or being all in. You know, it's also checking your alignment. So if you say you're all in, and you're noticing, you're checking the data, and you're not willing to change, you're out of alignment with who you say you are. And now this is where you just get to get curious and be like, what's going on? Where's the integrity? Have I changed my big, audacious, hairy goal? Like truly at my core, has a core value or core belief changed? Am I like falling into an old habit? Am I letting circumstance, letting effect rule me as opposed to being at cause, being at effect? So many questions where you get to get curious. So know what you want, take action, check the data, be willing to change, show up in excellence, have gratitude and integrity. Like these keys will, you get to use this as a litmus test for everything that you do. Everything. Know what you want. I want to wake up in the morning knowing my future vision. So I'm going to go to sleep at night with the future vision in my head, right? I'm going to implant this into my subconscious so that I wake up and it's just like it's coming out of me. I'm seeing it, right? Knowing what I want. Anytime I want something, like going to the grocery store and, getting out in 20 minutes, like all of these things I can smack up against. It can be a litmus test for anything that I want. And I am becoming the human who. I'm not just reading one book. I'm becoming a reader. As I practice this consistently, it will become automated.
I love that. And that's the process of change. It doesn't happen overnight. They say scientifically it takes 60 days to make a habit change. And we know that our habits actually give us a bird's eye view of what our belief systems are.
Mm-hmm.
So if every time we go to break a glass ceiling and chaos pursues and we don't have a belief system that we deserve it or we're worthy or we're capable or we're good enough or we need to go learn more or whatever that, limiting belief system is, and we have to start to be observers in our life with no make wrong, with no stories, with no meaning, so that we can just go, oh, I observe that every time I, want to get over here to this next new result, this shows up. Okay, so how do I, what's the opposite of that habit? Procrastination. So I take fast action immediately. I started with affirmation so young. My mom loves Louise Hay. I've been, I'm a mini Louise Hay. I'm like the affirmation queen. So if you guys want affirmations, you know where I'm at. But we always want to observe what's not working. And then we decide on the contrast. And it's that I am statement in a present tense so that we can rewrite and focus on that. And we can auto suggest to our unconscious mind that actually I prefer to show up prepared, on time, calm and collected, so that's a time integrity one that I'm working on always. I think I have a limiting belief system that all successful people show up late. Any successful person you ever worked with when you were younger was always late. And a paradigm that I can do 100 things in 10 minutes. The new paradigm is actually, it's okay. Like, slow it down. Cool, calm, and collected. Always have more than enough time, and we're always prepared. And it's just observing from a bird's eye view with no make wrong. And that's how we can improve, is when we can say, hey, I want to grow and change. That's the awareness. Then it's like, okay, well, I see what's not working. Now I'm willing to change.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But for so many of us, we're afraid to even look because we have to make it mean something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then we're bad and wrong because we always procrastinate or this, that. But instead, just imagine most people don't actually do a reflection at all. and thus they never improve, and they walk around like they're 7-year-old conditioned selves for the rest of their life, right to their grave, where I shoulda, coulda, woulda, and I feel like that's got to be a hard life.
Hard. So hard. So hard. It's so, and I know that you know this because you and I have lots of similarities. I can imagine that you reframe immediately. You observe immediately. You don't even think about it. Do we all come up on a limiting belief? You're like, wow, where did that come from? I have not seen you yet. Yeah, of course. And that reframing, when you practice that observing, that letting go of the meaning, not immediately deciding, oh, this means this, right? That takes practice. And I feel like the more you walk in it, the more in integrity you are with believing that this is who you get to be, the more you practice it. And it just comes so much more naturally for you. When I'm talking to a client and they don't know, they want to shift from, always being late. Let's just use that as an example. I ask them, well, what will it look like to be on time? What will it feel like to not rush? What will it sound like when you're not saying, I'm sorry, I'm late? Like really asking them to step into the other side of that so they can like pull it in and really start to embody it. And I call it casting the vision. They cast the vision, then they get to cast the vote for that future self, for that vision.
Love it. Absolutely. And guys, if you haven't heard of NLP, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, this is, what the elites of the elites have been using for a long, long time to understand human conditioning behavior. It's not taught in school. You are not taught about how to manage finances to actually build a successful life that you could live on your own terms. You're actually locked into a financial system that's broken and doesn't work and is set up to have you fail. So if you missed the episode on Tracy's financial education last season, make sure you go back and check that out. And then this. So I think if we can, rewrite our neural programming for finances or actually put that in place, because it's probably not there, especially for females, and actually rewrite our programming that has our self-concept stuck at where we are. And, if you've never had a successful entrepreneur who's a multimillionaire female in your family, then you have no model to work from. So you've got to do this work to actually create one. You've got Mindi, you've got myself. There's lots of amazing NLP practitioners out there, but we don't have to walk around like our 7-year-old conditioned selves anymore. And here's the sad part. Most people just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And you won't know you didn't know it until you learn it. So maybe right now you're going, what? I walk around like my 7-year-old self. I have neural programming. I have operating system just like a computer. And there could be a virus in that neural programming that's we might call a limiting belief system. And it might need to be rewritten. And it might not even be mine. It might have been my grandparents. Right? And so that's, yeah. And that we can rewrite. It's in our own neural programming. This is scientifically proven. Right? So proven, once you've done your second designation, you can guarantee results in over 42 countries in the world. Even a doctor can't guarantee results. How's that for science for you? The real science. Welcome to 2022, the science. There is no the science. There's just science, right? We start with a theory and then we work on it. And this is proven. And this is this is the uncommon knowledge I really want to help become common. Because I really, truly believe that there are amazing human beings that have a sole purpose to be here right now, to make a difference in the world, to birth the new earth. And you need this framework. You need these tools and these resources so that you can actually be bigger than your environment, because we can't grow bigger than our environment and conditioning unless you do this work. So I'm gonna pass it back to Mindi and just say, do you have any last thoughts or feelings? And where can everyone learn more about you? How can they book a breakthrough session with you?
I believe everyone deserves an extraordinary life, and part of my gift is holding that space while you catch up and believe it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn, Mindi Huebner, just my name. You can find me there. That's where I'm hanging out these days. And I have a mental rehearsal for everyone, a free guided mental rehearsal where they can start practicing that, taking action on the mental level and seeing themselves and really envisioning it. Sometimes it's hard. You said, when you first, it's different. I don't want
It's
to
a
say it's
mental
hard.
muscle you haven't
Yeah, it's
exercised
different.
before,
It's
that's
different
all.
than what you've done. And so sometimes having someone guide you to ask you the questions while you're making it up can be really helpful. So I have created one of those. It's a mental rehearsal for your success. And I'd love to share that with your community.
Amazing. Where can they find that?
At mindyhuebner.com/brain.
Amazing. We'll make sure that's in the show notes for you all. And thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for
And you.
continuously growing so that we can level up, all of us. And guys, remember, stay happy, healthy, wealthy, expect magic and miracles. And what's the best that can happen?